Let's see if we can get this video recorded now without interruptions. Dogs like to interrupt. They really do. And here he comes now. There he is. Yes. Hi, Jax. Hi. Yes. You're going to stand right in the way, aren't you? Yeah. Go. 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 Good boy. Stay out there. Sit on the floor, and that's their cue to come be directly in your face. Anyway, today on this fine Tuesday, I have a review for y'all. It is of Joe Abercrombie's A Little Hatred. A Little Hatred is a grimdark fantasy. I would say low fantasy. There's not a lot of magic in it. There's really only one character that ever demonstrates any magic, as far as I remember. So it's very low magic. The magic does kind of play a critical part in one of the storylines, but as a whole, the world is not very magical. It's more of a medieval setting with like a little trickling of magic on it. And our main plot line follows four main characters, that being Orso, a prince, Savine, the daughter of a very powerful man, Rika, the daughter of a king, and a girl with an ability known as the Long Eye, which allows her to see glimpses of the future. And lastly, there is, what's his name? Leo. There's Leo, who is also a nobleman and leading an army. We come into the story at a time of turmoil and war. There's been a rebellion, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read the book. I recorded this video some time ago, but I really didn't like the video. I thought it wasn't very good, so I thought I'd give it a redo. But we come into the story at a time of war and turmoil, and we follow two separate storylines. We follow the storyline of Orso and Savine, who are growing as people, and Orso is attempting to make something of himself as a prince who has largely been considered a failure and completely useless. On the other side, we follow the story of Leo and Rika, who are trying to stop a war in the north. There's a army coming for them, which they are attempting to defeat. The storyline is not a particularly strong point of this book. There's not a lot of focus on plot. The plot very much feels like an opening act, in my opinion. As the plot progresses, these two storylines are largely separate until the very end, when everybody's storyline kind of intersects. They come together and everybody meets everybody else. But it's at the very end of the book and is very much a setup for further things to come. As I said, the plot is very character-centric. So, that being one of the cons of this book is that the plot is not particularly good. Secondly, this is a personal taste thing, but it is grimdark. Emphasis on the grim. It is a very dim, dark depiction of the world. Have you ever watched the movie? You ever watched the DC movie and you're like, why is everything so dark? Why is this so depressing? That's how this book feels, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's not a massive deterrent, but it's also not something that I greatly enjoy. It's also quite I don't know if vulgar's the right word or not, but like there's multiple points where one of the characters like shits their pants, or someone vomits on someone else, and there's a lot of that, which I find just gross. Like it doesn't add anything to the story to me. I mean, I don't really see the point. I guess the author is trying to convey that the world is not without consequence, especially because a lot of this is related to some magic and things like that. There is a big emphasis that magic has a price, or it has a consequence. But just the way the author goes about it is so depressing. And he throws his characters into these situations, but that leads into some of the biggest pro of this book. Honestly, probably the only pro I'm going to name, and it within itself makes this book worth reading. And that is the characters. These characters are thrown into a massive pile of crap, and you get to watch them wade around in it, and they're done remarkably well. Savine is probably one of my favorite characters I've ever read, which is fantastic because a lot of times female characters, especially strong female characters, are just irritating. A lot of the strong female characters that people talk about are just bossy and rude and irritating. But Sabine, I find to be a very compelling, very interesting character, and my favorite character in the book, one of my favorite characters that I've ever read. Also, Orso, another character that is one of my favorite characters that I've ever read. Two, in the same book. That's not easy to do. Most books for me, in my experience, have one shining character that I really, really enjoy. If they have that, that's assuming they're a good book in my estimation. And this book has two of my favorite ever. I think they're fantastic, they're amazing. Also, Rika and Leo, characters who I don't enjoy as much simply because I don't like them as much, right? I don't like their personalities as much, but I think they're equally good. They are fantastically written, and Joe Abercrombie did an amazing job of creating realistic, compelling, interesting characters that grow and evolve throughout the story. And I really, really praise him a great deal on that. And as I said, it is such a strong point for me that I recommend this book, A Little Hatred, solely on that fact that the character work is great. The plot is okay, it's nothing special. Joe Abercrombie's writing style is relatively enjoyable for the most part, though he does have a tendency to paint the world with a very dark brush, which isn't my favorite type of storytelling. I generally prefer a mix, something like The Wheel of Time, which incorporates a mix of humor and very dark moments, or The Name of the Wind, which tends to do the same thing, but the entire world in itself is where they have these dark patches, but the entire world isn't painted that way, which I feel like is a lot more realistic to real life. For example, peasants living, 700 years ago. I'm pretty sure they didn't all hate their life. I'm pretty sure a lot of them were still very happy people and had good days. They enjoyed most of their days. I think that's in the temperament and the nature of human beings in general. And I don't think that the world is as depressing. I don't think this grim, dark depiction is particularly accurate to human nature of the world. Oh, I also forgot to mention, there's another character. I can't remember her name, but she's fantastic as well. She's extremely conflicted. She's having a war of values within herself, but she's very businesslike and tends to follow through on the path that she has set herself on. I can't remember her name right now, but she was really good too. So that's 5 outstanding characters that I can attribute. That's 5 outstanding characters that I can attribute to this one single book, which I think is fantastic. I know this is a short review. I honestly don't have that much to say on this book other than the characters are fantastic. That could have been this entire video. This video could have been 30 seconds of me going, the characters are amazing, read the book. Overall, I give A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie probably a 7 out of 10. Characters, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Plot, 5. Fairly basic, fairly average. I don't think it's particularly compelling. Warning, I think if you read this book, you probably need to be prepared to read the entire series because I said it is entirely set up, in my opinion. I have not read the second in the series. I believe there are 3, and I have not read any of the others, so I could be entirely wrong. You know, maybe it's not set up and it's just a bunch of nonsense. But to me, it feels like an opening act of a larger narrative. I appreciate all y'all for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like down below. Let me know what you thought about A Little Hatred if you read the book as well. And if you want to see more of my content, subscribe. Peace out, y'all. Thanks for watching. And as the book ends, everything intersects. The wars and stuff kind of are resolved, but lay the foundation for further. Jax! I'm gonna start over.